Let's go to line number 3. Good morning, Jim Learning. You're on the air, sir.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How about you?
Good, thanks.
Good.
I just wanted to follow along Dennis's conversation yesterday about having the RCMP investigate Nalcor and their goings-on, especially since SNC Lavalin is in that mix. I mean, that's a horrible thing, really, because the rest of the country and the world will have nothing to do with this organization, yet it's they're allowed to come in here and rip asunder everything we have up there and charge us to the sky, and then no repercussions. What are we? Sanitized? What are we? What's the problem? Why can't we get a fair shake here in terms of what this crooked company is allowed to come in and do? And I say crooked company because they have been accused.
Well, their reputation is certainly less than desirable. It's been tarnished because they've done some terrible things around the world in their order of business. Jim, are you referring to when you and others were arrested for, well, I don't know what they termed it, trespassing or whatever the case may be?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
The whole overall thing. I mean, I'll defend myself on that, and I have to, and so will the other 2, or 10 rather. But no, this is really a systemic problem we're dealing with here, because you know as well as I know, you've talked to the Adams people who are dead against the economics of this thing, and I kind of heard in your tone yesterday that maybe there's something going on there that we don't know about that makes this project legitimate. Well, the numbers that we have are not reflecting that, so this really is a worry. And you have to, be sympathetic to people like Con O'Brien, who says, well, they're just going to bankrupt our province. We've just crawled out of being the have-not province to a have province, and wham, we're right back in the hole with something unreasonable like this. And you know as well as I do, if you look back at the history of the Newfoundland government in attempting anything, it's been total failure. Whether it's the upper, but that was not a government thing, I realize that. They took it over, but... But certainly the things like linerboard, the cucumbers, whatever, the tunnel, whatever they set their hand to just did not go right. For what? It's not fair to just blankly accuse them of being failures, but we can be specific, I think, if we had the facts. I don't have them. I'm really speaking out of turn here, but I'm generalizing. And it's true. We haven't seen much of a success. So, and this one up here is such an environmental rip for us. It's horrendous. I mean, they don't give a damn about poisoning the water. That really doesn't matter. Adding to what's already coming out of the upper into the lower. And I think this follows along pretty close to the fact, too, that what Reg was talking about there, the boom has a problem, or is a problem for us here. It's a huge problem. And because the bust will be big. And the bust will leave us with going from 3.8 cents a kilowatt hour to something like 12 cents a kilowatt hour tied to the Newfoundland grid. So this, along with the price of our groceries and being in the north, pretty well spells doom for this whole community. So I think Reg is not quite going after the right thing here. He needs to expand his base a little bit and say, well, Nalcor is a problem. We should have gone up the road all those years ago. Everybody should have gone up the road and shut that thing down.
Now, there's a long way between some of the issues that you have and others have with Muskrat Falls and the accusation of criminal wrongdoing, bad decisions, bad business models, lack of adherence to environmental standards and protections. There's a long way between that and people doing what Dennis also said yesterday, is that there's criminal activities, isn't there?
You can say that, but
I'm just asking you.
No, in my opinion, no. These things can be very close, as we've seen. I mean, if you've read, there's a book called No Free Lunch in the United States, and taxing their people, some of those things are absolutely criminal, but there's no way in the world you can take bureaucrats and governments that size to court. It just will not work. So they get away with this stuff. I say maybe not totally criminal, but very marginal.
Yeah, and, so far as an investigation goes, I don't know if there ever will be one of the project, the government in Nalcor, but certainly the lens of the RCMP has been squarely fixed on SNC Lavalin, pardon me, and I'd be surprised if they haven't investigated Lavalin's role in this project as well, but I don't know, nor do any of us, and that's why the questions persist, and that's what sometimes has been the provincial government and Nalcor's unraveling or undoing, is that they may know things we don't, but unfortunately we will speculate and question, and that will be stirred into a tizzy where it gets to the point it is now if they don't answer our questions. So I understand your concerns, Mr. Learning, and understand Dennis's. I think that, we're quick to say that there's criminal activity on the go, but that's also fairly dangerous play as well. If it's a bad business, bad environmental adherence, all sorts of other issues people have with it, heavy-handedness by Nalcor when it comes to the issue that you're facing in the courts, sir. I understand all that, and in large part I agree with you 100%. I don't know if there'll be an investigation. Maybe there should be. I don't know.
Well, the whole thing, history will tell us for sure, because if the RCMP is, and for sure they are, investigating this, well, that's ongoing. We can't interfere with that, or they're not going to give us any detail. Clearly, they shouldn't.
Right.
And so it will come out. It absolutely will, whether it's now 10 years from now or 40 years from now. It will come out one way or the other, because these things always do. History always reveals itself sooner or later. Yes. In a real way, if in fact there's an issue there. So, on the side of caution, watch them, investigate them, suspect that there's something wrong here, because there is something wrong with Muskrat Falls, clearly. I mean, when you look at that 40 cents that the Adams were talking about, and the 4.3 cents on the mass market price going into the United States, they're just, and we'll be subsidizing Nova Scotia till the cows come home, 38 to 40 years. This is just not right.
Yeah, once again, I think there's a long way between that and criminal behavior, though. I just do. Now, I'm not going to dispute the fact that there may indeed be cause for investigation, but I think some of the things people are accusing or characterizing as criminal aren't criminal. They are subject to debate and whether or not it's the right play or the right time, but I don't know if that means criminal.
There's certainly policies of convenience, aren't they? And that might
sometimes that's a fair statement, I think.
I might just be rubbing a little close to that. Well, in any case, err on the side of caution. Investigate. Find out. They have that right. We have the right to know. And Bill 29 aside, we have the right to know.
Right.
We don't have the right to know the corporate details, and we don't need to. But we do need to know why this project is being pushed so hard at this high price, with the Newfoundland government subsidizing everything for Nova Scotia, and making sure that Emera makes its profit, and make sure and guaranteeing that Crown Corporation gets its 8% spread in profit. It'll never fail, because the people will be holding it up.
Or are you referring to Newfoundland Power when you call the percentage of return?
I can't break all that down, because I don't know. I don't know the splits, but I'm referring to the overall project.
Right.
And I get this from the experts, from Maurice, from Des, from Winston, from Phil Raphaels of the Helio Center in Montreal, and I'm reading all this stuff, and we've been watching it since day one. And when you see that it makes so little sense, you have to throw everything you have into it to try to bring some reason to bear in terms of logic. Say, why are they just doing this? Because they can. And of course, we know, this might not be a criminal thing, but we know that all of these big companies at the top of this corporation who contribute to these parties they definitely get their little bits and pieces passed back to them, which keeps a lot of people working, but it also keeps a lot of people in the taxpayer in trouble and keeps the economy pressed down overall.
Yeah, with all due respect to you and everyone else that you named, we're quick to condemn the other side, the proponents, as not being absent of experts. And some of the people you named, I don't give them expert status. There's no question in my mind they're not, because nor do I associate some of the expert classification of those on the proponent side. So, where you stand depends on where you sit, I suppose, when it comes to Muskrat Falls. Anything else, Mr. Learning, before I take another call, sir?
No, that's pretty much it. I think maybe the biggest crime here of all is ripping the environment to shreds and having no respect for the fact that you're poisoning the food and the water around us. That's just not right.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that independent engineer's report without the redacted pieces about the environment. It's hard to understand what a commercial sensitivity is associated with that. I don't understand that at all.
I'll tell you what, that's ongoing in any case, because Nanasio is looking into that and testing the waters and doing the hair samples a whole bit. So that's another piece of history that will be revealed to us. And for those of us who are screaming so loud, we'll either be right or wrong, but we're loud.
Well, listen, and that's your right, and you certainly have an opportunity to join this program and say whatever you like at your convenience. As usual, I appreciate the call and enjoyed the conversation, Jim.
Thank you very much.
All the best.
Bye.
Bye-bye.